Hi, I'm Aubrey Cramer from the Ethical Trade Alliance, and I want to provide you with some guidance on how to prepare for your Corporate Social Responsibility 2020 audit. Now remember, this standard was created to help organisations comply with international guiding principles for modern slavery, to help organisations receive recognition for their ethical stance, to help organisations that are currently not complying or are unsure if they comply, to have tools and guidance to start complying. Now, you're probably thinking that compliance with any kind of standard is going to be difficult. But we want you to know that for most companies, this will be relatively easy. You'll just need to prepare some documentation and then implement it. You begin by valuing humanity and the environment. It's that simple. Your values will guide you to prepare documentation, including policies, procedures, to establish a compliance roadmap. Then just communicate your values and documentation to your personnel and let your supply chain know your direction and invite them to join. Now this pattern, if applied, will help you to be successful in meeting the standard. From a bird's eye view, what are the steps to becoming compliant to the CSRS 2020? Now this is documented in the CSRS 2020 itself. It says, number 1, choose the areas of commitment that your organisation will comply with that are relevant to your scope. Number 2, assign a leader that will be responsible for implementing CSRS 2020. Read and understand the CSRS 2020 requirements. Undertake training if needed and train your people. Then identify any compliance gaps, address the compliance gaps, and provide training where needed. You then check the implementation of the CSRS 2020 by a documented self-assessment or third-party assessment, and then perform ongoing assessments at planned intervals to ensure continued compliance. Now, let's explore these a little bit further. First, choose the area of commitment that your organisation will comply with that's relevant to your scope. Now, the areas of commitment are documented in the standard, and they are modern slavery, bribery, conflict, animal welfare, the environment, and occupational health and safety. Now you're free to choose which areas of commitment you want to be certified to, but modern slavery will be required for all ETA certification audits. Some of the areas of commitment will not be obviously relevant to your organisation, such as animal welfare. If this is the case, simply don't prepare for these areas and don't apply for ETA certification in these areas. Now, each area is based on the UNGP and therefore uses similar terminology. Each area of commitment is designed to integrate so that just one set of documentation can address all 6 areas. It's not intended to have separate documents for each area of commitment. You can also check with the ETA if you're not sure whether an area applies to you. Now, number 2, assign a leader that will be responsible for implementing CSRS 2020. Make sure the leader has clout in your organisation, someone that people will listen to. The leader should be a member of your senior team, and the leader will be committed to human and environmental values of the organisation. Make sure the leader has authority delegated to them from senior management to implement the standard, and make sure the leader has the resources to implement the standard to get you certified. Number 3, read and understand the CSRS 2020. Now, undertake training if needed and train your people. This step is perhaps the easiest thing you'll do to comply. Get familiar with the CSRS 2020 by reading it thoroughly and read it a few times to improve your understanding. Have others in your organisation read the standard also. The standard is briefer than most, if not all standards, and isn't intentionally complex or complicated, so it should be reasonably easy to understand. 4, identify any compliance gaps. And then 5, address the compliance gaps and provide training where needed. Now there are 4 broad sections in the CSRS for each area of commitment. The first one is policy commitment. Every organisation needs to state its policy. The policy should be specific to the organisation, reflect the organisation's human, animal rights and environmental values, and reflect a commitment to those values. Think mission or vision statement. Be true to your policy. Don't accept any behaviours or contracts or deals that contradict to your policy. Number 2, Do diligence, implement your policy, find out if there's any modern slavery or other issues in your organizational supply chain, and keep tracking to ensure modern slavery or other issues don't creep in. 3. Remediate. Hopefully you walk the talk and there's no remediation needed. But there are almost always some form of issue, whether it's obvious, intentional, accidental, unintentional, or very minor. Now, in such cases, determine the extent of the issue, identify the parties involved, determine and take any needed initial action to rectify the issue and report the issue and action to the designated leader. Determine the cause of the issue. Sometimes the true cause will not be readily apparent, so look deeper. It might be cultural, management, systems, or some other kind of reason. If there is a residual issue left after the initial action's taken, decide what needs to be done to fully correct the issue to avoid repetition of it. Make sure the action is fully implemented. You may need to monitor its implementation to ensure full and proper application of the action, and continue to monitor the effects of the action to see if the issue reoccurs or something like that. If it happened once, it could happen again, so remain committed to your policy. And then site inspection. Site inspection items are recorded in the CSRS. Take the time to go through each of these site inspection items and ensure that any area of non-compliance is corrected and recorded per the remediation section of the CSRS. And check implementation of the CSRS 2020 by a documented self-assessment or third-party assessment. The Ethical Trade Alliance will provide a well-trained and independent auditor to perform a third-party audit. Now, please contact your local association to see if they're signed up to arrange ETA audits. If they're not signed up, we will direct you to an association that is ETA authorized. Audits will be online using Zoom or some other similar technology. The auditors will be anonymous, and the auditors will be approved and managed by the ETA. Now, any major areas of non-compliance must be corrected before receiving ETA certification. Perform ongoing assessments at planned intervals to ensure continued compliance. The ETA audit is performed annually on or near the anniversary of your initial audit.